Hi everyone and welcome to Cooking with Cricket. Today I'm going to bring you along as I make some homemade pecan log rolls. And this is actually one of my favorites, but I have to travel a little ways to buy one. And I remember even eating these as a kid growing up. This was very easy to make. So stay tuned and I'll show you how to make them. To get started, I have my large bowl and I have 7 ounces of marshmallow cream. To that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then I have 1 pound of powdered sugar, or you might know it as confectioner sugar or icing sugar. And we're going to sift that in here. Okay, I've sifted just a little bit. It's going to be hard to mix. We're going to have to start mixing it with our hands. We'll just kind of get it going right now. Now, once we have all of our powdered sugar sifted in, it's going to be very, very hard to try to work this in like this. So now I'm going to start using my hand, and I also cleaned my surface and laid out some plastic wrap on my table because I will be turning this dough out to do it that way too. Pecan log rolls are one of my favorite candies, but they're hard to find around here. If we travel and get to go to one of my favorite restaurants, I will buy me one there. And the other night, for Valentine's Day, that's where we went. And I bought me one, and I posted it on my Facebook. And I posted it, and my friend Christy from Christy's Cooking Channel, she said you could make one better. And I didn't even think about even trying to make one because I thought they would be so hard to do. Now there is 2 types of recipes, and this is an easy one. I'm going to just pour this on out. This is an easy one to make, but there's also one that has like almost a divinity type feeling. So I'm going to try that version too, because I want it to be almost identical to the ones that I can buy. So if you would like for me to film that version, just let me know, and I will. We need to try to get as much of this kneaded in as we can. Now to me, this is pretty good, and this is pretty stiff. So I'm going to wipe away some of that powdered sugar and just work with this bit and get it good and smooth. Now some of the containers of the marshmallow, you might get 7 ounce, you might get 7.5 ounces. That's okay. If you use the 7.5 ounces, that would probably take the rest of that powdered sugar. Okay, that looks good. Now I have me a baking sheet lined with my silicone mat, or you can line it with some parchment or wax paper. We want to roll these into separate logs. You want them about 1 inch in diameter. These will make it easier to dip in the caramel. But you can really make it as thick as you like. And that looks good to me, this size right here. So I'm going to place this on my mat and finish rolling out the rest. Now I'm going to place mine in the freezer until they're good and firm, so we can roll them in the melted caramel and then dip them in the pecans. And it also depends on how thin and long that you roll them to how many logs you'll get. You can make them smaller or larger. It's just up to you. Now it's time to melt our caramels. I have in my saucepan some water coming up to boil. It's not touching the bottom of the bowl. And once it comes up to a boil, I will turn it down to a simmer. But I'm going to go ahead and add around 16 ounces of some caramel. and roughly 2 tablespoons of water. And I will keep that stirred and we'll let it melt. Now in my shallow baking dish, I have roughly 2.5 cups of chopped pecans. And I just chopped them myself in my food processor. You want them kind of fine, but not like powder or anything. Okay, I have all of my caramel melted, and just please be careful. This is very, very hot. So now that it's all melted, I've turned my water down to just low because I'm going to keep it over the water and keep it stirred. Because once we dip our almost frozen candy in there, it will start to harden real quick. So that way we'll just keep it warm. I'm going to try to keep this all in one shot because I am having to keep this warm. I've got my chopped pecans right here, and let me go get my candy part. And real quick, I made me 2 dipping forks. It's just plastic forks that I took the middle tines out. I am going to wear some gloves just because it's sticky. And just remember, this caramel is very hot. Now I've had my candy logs in the freezer for a couple of hours. They're nice and solid. So I'm going to take these out, put them on some wax paper because I want to set them back on this silicone pad, or if you don't have that, just set it on some parchment paper. Okay, I hope you can see everything really good. Let me give this a good stir. Okay. I'm going to make sure it's all coated with the caramel. Kind of drizzle off the excess. And now that's touching this will solidify pretty quick because the log part of it's frozen. Now over. See, it's frozen to the fork. Now carefully press our pecans in there so it sticks. Now pecans are my favorite. I could just eat them every day. Okay, so that's good. Just press them in there. It's still warm because of the caramel, so be very careful. And put it on my silicone mat. Okay, mine are all done. I'm going to put these in the refrigerator just so the caramel can set up. Maybe about 30 minutes, even if that long. And I'll bring you back when they're ready. Now, I have some leftover caramel and some leftover pecans. So I'll just make some turtles out of this. So what I have left, I'm just going to spread it out as evenly as I can. And I'm just going to take the caramel, drizzle it over the top, melt some chocolate, and drizzle it over the top of that. Okay, I didn't let mine set in the freezer long. I don't want them to get back firm or anything. Just the caramel has cooled. And they're still kind of soft from where they have been sitting out of the freezer. And that's what I want, because I don't want it just to be hard as a brick, us trying to cut into them. So I'm going to let these set just a few more minutes. Let them kind of get a little bit more to room temperature. And then I'll be back to try them. And these should keep in an airtight container for around a month or so, if they last that long. Now it's time to slice into this. I'm just using a regular serrated knife. And they've been setting out. It's pliable. And that's how the one is that I bought. Easy to cut. And that's what they look like on the inside. Now it's time to try a bite. And even when I buy these, it's actually about this size that I buy. But at the restaurant I went to, it was real big. But I can't sit down and just eat a whole log at one time. So I save it and eat it over a period of time. But let me hush and try it. So good. Now, the middle part is very sweet. But the caramel and the pecans help with that. So, let me get them. I'll slice up this one for presentation. And the other ones, I'm just going to take some plastic wrap. Seal it up that way. And then put it in some zip top bags. Now, the one that I got, looking at the ingredients on the package, it had corn syrup in it. This did not, but there is another way to make it where the inside is more like a divinity. And that's what I always thought and compared it as when I would buy them, was this part was more like a divinity. And if you've had divinity, it's very light, fluffy, and airy. And so there is a recipe I want to try. It won't be anytime soon because I have these to eat. But if you would like to bring you back when I make it, just let me know. And I'll be happy to. And here's my other candy that I made with the leftovers. Should be pretty good. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, and I will be making this a different way using like a divinity type nougat. So if you'd like to see that, let me know. Please go check out Christy over at Christy's Cooking Channel. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to comment because I love hearing from you. And if you want to, please check out the other videos that should be popping up right about now. So thanks for watching. And until my next video, I hope you enjoy. Bye, y'all.